Berlita, this is in response to your question, uh, which is a very good one, but I think um somewhat inexperienced in this regard. I don't mean that to be a put down, not at all, because this is a very complex issue. But when you say that the executive director should be selected by the people in an election, that presupposes that there has to be some kind of structure to, one, conduct the election, and two, for the nominees to be qualified and put forth their candidacies. That's all very difficult. What we've settled on is a procedure where we have a fair amount of experience in human governance, and that is to have a director that is appointed by a board. This is not unlike the system, the parliamentary system, where the controlling party of a parliament puts forth the majority leader, who then is the head of the party and head of the government. In this particular instance, the dilemma we had in putting forth the initiative for the American people to enact into law was one, who's going to be on the board of trustees of the Electoral Trust, which is created by the law when it's enacted. And what we chose was the highest elected official in each one of the states that handles elections. So those, and plus the territories in Puerto Rico. Actually, there were 53 such persons that would be automatically appointed when 60 million Americans vote to enact the national initiative. When that law is enacted, the organization that brought this about conducted the election, Philadelphia 2. The board of directors of that organization, who obviously are imbued with the vision of empowering the people, they would be the ones that would nominate and appoint, and this is all in the law itself, the first director, who would serve 4 years, first director of the Electoral Trust. Now, subsequent directors would be appointed by the board, by the majority of the elected officials of the Electoral Trust. And those officials, right after the law comes into being, the first thing the Electoral Trust will do would be to register everybody in the United States for life. And then what they would do is then conduct initially an election so that we would elect the board of trustees. And more than likely, they would use the electoral documents and all of what had been used by Philadelphia 2 would then be used by the Electoral Trust, and then what they've been able to add to it. And so once this new board would be in existence, the new trustees, then they would work with the director to now launch the national initiative as an operating legislative process. Now, here again, that is not unlike the way the Senate operates, where you have the Secretary of the Senate, who's appointed by the Rules Committee on a bipartisan basis in the Senate, and it's his job or her job to manage all of the affairs, the administrative affairs of the Senate. Well, now the director would be managing all of the administrative affairs of the legislature of the people, the national initiative. Now, I have some direct experience in this regard. I'm responsible for 2 commissions that were created in law. One was the Panama Canal Commission involving Japan, Panama, and the United States, and it was to bring about a sea level canal. This was a vision I had that would have lowered the cost of global transportation, waterborne transportation. However, the commission, I left office, the commission had bureaucratic appointees, and it's never done anything because the appointees would have a meeting in one country one year, another country another year, and it went on and on and on, and just wasting money. The other was a transportation commission that I had founded, brought into law, which was to amalgamate the air, sea, rail transportation systems, waterborne transportation systems, so that we could choose the most environmentally sound and the most efficient energy-wise transportation system in the various venues of the United States. The commission was taken over, appointed, a Republican was appointed the head of it, was taken over by the Republicans. Nothing came of it. The money was wasted and was put on a shelf, and that was the end of it. Having lived through two experiences directly and realizing that if who does not control the initial effort is imbued with the vision that needs to be accomplished, the whole thing could come to naught. And so that's the reason why I had the initial directors selected by Philadelphia 2 board who are imbued with the vision. They will pick a person who they clearly know understands the vision of what needs to be accomplished and will see it realized in the first term under the initial aegis of the appointed Board of Trustees and then immediately the elected Board of Trustees. I think that this will be a very effective way of doing it, as opposed to somewhat of an anarchistic situation where you could get 1 million people file for the office of a director, and there would not be any procedures in place to accommodate an election of one of those 1 million people. And so though your question sounds correct, that we need to put forth a process that is democratic, but it does not need to be anarchy. And what makes the difference between anarchy and a direct democracy process is, of course, a process where you have structure in human governance. And that's what the National Initiative is all about. It is a new paradigm for human governance. I hope that responds to your question, Belita. And if not, please get back to me. I'd be happy to respond to more questions in depth if you feel you have them. I thank you, and I hope you'll support the National Initiative.